Hi folks, my name is Mike Dobbs, and once again I have the pleasure and privilege of hosting an episode of Government Matters. Well, it's coming to the end of the year, and what that means in terms of municipal government for Springfield is that pretty soon there's going to be election for a new president of the Springfield City Council and a new vice president for the Springfield City Council. And with me is longtime City Councilor Trayce Whitfield, who will be running for president. So we want to talk about what she's hoping to do if she's elected as president of the City Council. And as a councilor, just what she is seeing as her priorities for an upcoming council year. Thanks very much for coming in today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm okay for an old man. Okay. So there's a lot happening in the city right now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of stuff that the council, I'm sure, is going to be knee-deep in. So I just want to ask you one big issue, and then we'll get into what you really want to do.
Sure.
As not only just a councilor, but as council president. So last week, the city got a real shock to the system about the mitigation money that had been allocated to Springfield, which was used in Springfield for a number of different things, and now we're getting nothing. Obviously, I know you have a strong background in finance, and this is undoubtedly going to cause some issues to our budget. Yeah. What was your reaction to finding out that we'd had this mitigation money from the Gaming Commission eliminated?
Well, I was very surprised because I honestly didn't know that was coming down the pike, that we would be cut, and it's definitely going to cut services, even like right around the casino area where we are, because a lot of the mitigation funds pay for public safety. It also helps mitigate some of the costs when it comes to trash removals and other city services. So it's definitely a big hit to the city of Springfield. And now we're just going to have to get creative on making sure that we write grants that we can get, that we know we can get, and we don't miss some of those, like some that happened in the Parks Department. And we got to get creative with our staff and see how we can cover those shifts, because we still want the same level of service without those funds.
Well, what fascinated me about all of this is that back in the day when they had started talking about mitigation money, there was a whole group of our neighboring communities with their hand out. You know, like Long Meadow said, oh my God, we need mitigation money because Route 5 will be clogged with people coming up Route 5 from the south to the casino, which, by the way, folks, hasn't happened. You know, I know that Northampton got mitigation money because they were fearful MGM was going to take entertainment dollars out of the Northampton area. If I remember correctly, Chicopee got money, Holyoke got money.
West Springfield.
And to me, it only made sense that Springfield got the money because we're the community where this thing is sitting, and we're the community that's going to feel both positive and negative effects from the casino.
Correct.
So it wasn't surprising to me that they would cut it from other communities, but it shocked me that they cut it from us.
Yeah, I think it was sad. And the other surrounding towns getting mitigation fund, I mean, if something's new coming and they have the opportunity to get additional funds, why wouldn't they, right? And we don't know what we don't know, so we didn't know that all the things that you mentioned would have happened or wouldn't have happened, but now that we see that they didn't happen, I absolutely agree with you that mitigation funds should stay in the city of Springfield. And I'm willing to write to our legislation, our state legislation, the governor, and even the Gaming Commission, and figure out why this is happening. Where the casinos lie is where the mitigation funds should still come to. So I agree with you there.
So as potentially a president of the city council, I mean, just the mitigation money issue is a big issue to face, but we've got other issues that we have to face as well. We
definitely do.
So let me ask you, why do you want to be president of the council at this point in your career? And you've been, I should have looked it up, sorry, had a busy morning.
That's okay.
About how many years you've already served on the council?
7 years.
Okay. So within that 7 years, you've been just a counselor, but now you want to be council president. So why go for this at this point in your career?
So I think every role that someone gets into is a learning opportunity, and I want to learn more about the city council. But not only that, I also want to give counselors the opportunity to learn more. So I'm looking to create a training for new and current city councilors to go through to learn all the rules that comes along with being a city councilor. Because what's a 2/3 vote over a simple vote? Like when are they in place? Like simple things like that. I just had to go with the flow to learn. There was no one telling me these rules about zone change and hearings and things like that. It was just like trial and error type learning. I want to change that for new city councilors like Jerry Martin and even some of the more recent councilors that joined the council probably 2 or 3 years ago, Jose Delgado, Zeta Govan, and the newer councilors. That's one reason that I want to be the president, so I can have the opportunity to put some of those type of programs in place. And then in addition, property tax, property tax, property tax. We know that that's coming up. That's a big issue. But do we really dig deep into the budget to see what can be cut? Now, when I say what can be cut, I'm not talking about city jobs. I'm not talking about essential services. What about the non-essential things that we pay for? I want to really dig deep into the contracts that we're giving out in the city of Springfield. Because if it's under 50,000, it doesn't have to go through a procurement process. So contracts can just be given out to anyone all over the place. If it's 50,000 and under, that's still a big chunk of money in the city of Springfield. And even if it's 10,000 or less, according to Chapter 30B, you only need 3 quotes. You don't have to, you choose. So it's definitely, I know just from working in finance that there could be some waste that we're not looking into that we can cut out of the budget, because that is, the increases in the budget is what caused the property taxes to go up, because the property tax cover probably about 30% of those, and a lot of our other expenses in the budget is net school spending dollars, so we get that from the state. But the part of the budget that's on the city side that we don't get to the state, we really got to take a deeper dive to see what we can cut out so that we don't have to increase our property tax to cover the balance in the budget.
So you want to put a fine microscopic look on some of these contracts to make sure they are things that would truly benefit the city for the money that's being allocated.
Yeah, the contracts and even other non-essential services, like are we taking extra trips that we don't really need to take? Are we paying for magazines or something that maybe can wait until our budget is in a better place or our city is in a better place? And like at the end of the year, why do we have so much free cash year over year over year that the finance department comes to us to use for things that they want to get done? So why were they baked in the budget in the first place? We raise property tax, but we don't use all the money at the end of the year because it comes back to us as free cash. Like, those are some things that really shouldn't be happening. If we get $27 million of free cash, then that means our budget could have been $27 million smaller in the beginning of the budget season. So those are just some of the things I really want to take a deeper dive and look into.
So with free cash, you have to use it within the fiscal year?
Free cash is free cash is calculated at the end of the fiscal year,
Yep.
and then it's approved by, I think, Department of Revenue. But free cash is the money that we didn't spend that was built into the budget. So now it's free. So now the finance department can come and say, well, can we use $1 million of the free cash to do these additional sidewalks or to purchase more vehicles or whatever they come to us for free cash. But it's built into the budget in the beginning of the budget cycle. And so when the budget expenses go up, we have to generate more revenue, and that's when we increase our property taxes, and that's one of the causes that we increase our property taxes.
Well, you know, I'm certainly no financial guru, that's for sure. But I was always told, you know, tax time, you know, it's better not to get money back from Uncle Sam when you pay your income taxes. Mm-hmm. It's better to figure out your income taxes, figure out your expense, and pay your taxes, but not to have him hold that money for you. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, basically, let's look to do a similar thing. We don't want a bunch of money left over. Mm-hmm. We want to have, if we can save that money by not putting it in the budget in the beginning.
Right.
So it's a conservative approach that will hopefully have a positive impact on property taxes by lowering them just a little bit, maybe.
Exactly, or not increasing them, keeping them level. We do want to, incentivize our employees and give them the 2% increases that they get and things like that. But 2% increases are across the board. Does everybody really deserve a 2% increase? I don't know. Those are things that should be discussed with finance. And I just know that I have not voted for a budget in the last 3 to 4 years. If the property tax go up by $1, I will vote no on the budget every time. That's a commitment that I made to the residents of the city of Springfield, and it's a commitment that I made to myself. I do think that the finance department and the mayor do put in place some savings and things that cause savings to the property tax owners, property tax payers, but to me it's just still not enough.
Okay. So we've had a number of state legislators come in here in the last few months, and I've asked all of them one same question, which is, the city of Springfield gets a lot of money from the state in various ways, and with everything that's happening in Washington, where there are budgetary items that have been voted on and then they pull them back from the recipient, it's been a struggle. And every one of the state legislators we've talked to recently has said that despite the fact that Massachusetts has a pretty solid rainy day account, it does not have the money to fund everything that it has been funding. And there's going to be an issue with that. And you're a city councilor in the third largest community in the state, and I think we're the third largest in New England. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if the state can't give us the money that they had been giving us because the feds aren't giving the money to them, mm-hmm. now ultimately becomes our problem at this level, how we're going to do this. Does this worry you or concern you about not having a really firm commitment from the feds when we see what they're doing about taking stuff back?
Yes, definitely a concern for me. I work for a statewide organization too called the Coalition for an Equitable Economy. And so I'm out in the Boston area a lot, and I see a lot of advocacy groups advocating for what's important to them. And so what worries me is health care, especially for our senior citizens, but for everyone. What are they going to do? They worked hard their whole lives, and now you want to cut Medicare. That is definitely a concern to me. So I do like some of the programs, or one recent one that the mayor put in place, I guess is for a property tax, but he's only going to fund $1 million, and then the funding have to come from other sources by donations. And that's even if we get the home rule petition that has to be approved by the state approved. If that's not approved, then where is it going to leave us? So it's definitely a major concern to me on what's happening on the federal level with all the cuts. Also, the cuts to CDFIs, which is what is CDFI? CDFI is a funding source. It's like Common Capital is a CDFI. Yeah. And so they fund the small businesses in the community. And the CDFI fund department on the federal level got wiped out. So it's not there anymore. Wow. And so the federal funds that were coming to the CDFIs to go to our small businesses, specifically in under-resourced, under-serviced communities, is wiped out. So I work a lot with CDFIs in my current job. And so it's like a panic there, like how small businesses also need funding. They also have families. They also need insurance. They also use the funds in their businesses to grow the economy of Springfield and Massachusetts overall. And so that is a huge topic for us, and we advocate for more of those dollars to come into Western Mass specifically for me, but the whole state overall as well. So it's very scary, and it's a struggle. For the state legislators, I would like to know exactly where they are seeing the cuts, because I hear that it's going to be a problem but I don't hear the solutions on how we're going to solve it, and I don't hear direct information on what specifically is going to get cut outside of what we know on the federal level. And the governor has also given more money into, like even the SNAP program, when there was a big fear that we wasn't getting that in November. So there was money put into that now they could take back out and do something else with, because that has been resolved. So when I would just encourage you to ask them where are the cuts coming from, so we know where to advocate more heavily.
Right, right. I know that there's a lot of focus, and I know that you guys on the city council and the mayor have nothing to do with this. But right now, we're waiting for DCAM to do their due diligence and figure out where they want to put a new courthouse. And I'm sure you'd agree with me that is an essential kind of economic development project. Depending upon where they put it, it will hopefully encourage small businesses, service businesses, restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just curious, do you have a favorite location of the locations that were revealed in the RFPs? I know you can't do anything about it. The mayor, I can't do anything about it. The mayor can't do anything about it. But I'm just curious what you see as a good place for this to be in terms of having the most positive ancillary economic impact on small businesses in the city.
I like the current location of the courthouse, or right around the area. There were a lot of downtown areas that were in the RFPs. So I think a lot of those will be good. The one that I'm least favorite about is the riverfront, because I don't know how that will be sustainable. I don't know if it'll sink over time. Like, it's those type of worries, not specifically where the RFP came from, but just need a little bit more information on if that location is a sustainable location, or if it's going to be like larger problems, you know, in the future that will like be a problem for my children and grandchildren, and we want to prevent that as much as possible. But the same thing was said for the casino. Oh, more restaurants, more businesses and things like that. If you don't have an economic development department that's really gonna grow the economics of the Springfield community, then I don't know that it will change. I look at the Boston area, they have a whole small business development center, and it's run by someone, and they have programs that deals with procurement, that deals with locations, like building locations. They just have a really robust program that they implement to encourage people to want to open their businesses in the Boston area. I don't see that for the city of Springfield. We have a storefront grant. That's very nice to help people build out their storefront. It's a cost, and it's nice to give something back, but we can do a lot more, and we can be a lot more robust in some of the programs that we give to our businesses that want to come into the city of Springfield. I know we also do HDIBs, and we also do TIFs, but those usually go to the larger corporations and businesses, but we don't have a lot for the small businesses, and the small businesses are really what spurs the economy.
Right. I mean, all the statistics indicate that small businesses are the ones that are creating jobs.
Exactly.
Much more than larger corporate businesses. It's interesting that you mentioned about the economic development history here of the casino and how it's worked out. I mean, I'm not one of these guys that, even though I don't bet there, I just go to the movies there. I want this to be successful.
Yeah.
We don't need an unsuccessful casino, right? We don't need that. So but my biggest criticism is that we have on the other side of Main Street here all these vacant storefronts. Some of them used to be restaurants back in the day, and this place has been open since the summer of 2018, and the success hasn't crossed the street.
Exactly.
And that does worry me. And I've often wondered, well, are we selling these things? Are we actively trying to get people into them? Is it the case that the building owners are charging too much because they want a piece of the casino pie? And it does concern me. And I think I think your comparison between the reality of what this place has been to the city to the reality of what the new courthouse could be, I think that's completely justifiable to ask questions.
Right.
On paper, the new courthouse should be a real economic development project, but...
Casino was on paper also.
Well, yes.
All right.
Yes.
And it just hasn't spurred the economic development that I was told it was going to, or I was looking for the residents of the city of Springfield. But not only that, our small businesses closed so fast. Within 5 years, we have turned around so many small businesses. And why is that? We know COVID happened, but we gave out a lot of funds during COVID.
Right.
And the businesses that got those funds closed their doors, and there's no recap or getting the money back. Once they got their $1 million or whatever the amount was, then they closed the next year. And I think that whole process could have been done a lot better as well. And so we really need an economic development department that is going to look at all these things and also look at a sustainability plan. Like, the city of Boston also created a program where if owners are closing their doors, they can look at creating a co-op so the workers are not out on the streets, right? Now they own the restaurant, or we'll just use restaurant for simplicity. Now they own the restaurant, so now they have more teeth in the game, right? They want to keep it open, and they're going to work harder instead of closing the doors, and then you have more layoffs and more people unemployed. Like, we have to get really creative on what we do in the city of Springfield.
Well, for years and years and years, we've concentrated so much money and effort on revitalizing downtown. Okay, if you go to Indian Orchard, you're going to hear people say, well, what about us? If you go to Pine Point, you're going to hear people say, well, what about us? All these other neighborhoods in the city haven't received the same kind of economic development assistance or funding. And do you feel that as a counselor you would like to see more of this development efforts go into where people are living? They're living in the neighborhoods.
Absolutely, because it's easier to get to where you live, right? So even me, I live in Ward 2. So we have, what's it called? What's the shopping plaza? I just had a...
Oh, I have them all the time.
I'm getting older. But in the plaza, Liberty Plaza, we could revitalize that to be so great. I'm just thinking of that neighborhood because that's where I shop a lot. And even with it in the condition that it's in, I go there because it's closest to my home. So if we paid attention to every neighborhood, and we have 17 of them, even if we do it by ward and it's still 8, and not just focus on the downtown area, we're still going to attract different people to our different communities in the city of Springfield, and we will spur economic development. Look at all the shops in Forest Park that we could do so much more with if we just revitalize the community. Even as much as putting those lights out that they put out during Christmas time, if we bring them up State Street and over into Forest Park and all the other neighborhoods and brighten them up and make them safer, because a lot of accidents are happening because our lighting is too low. People are getting killed. Like, there's so many things that we have to work on as a city to create safe and secure environments for our residents. We can't just continue to do the same old things over and over again and expect different results. We've been focusing on downtown area for a very long time, and it is beautiful. But our whole city is beautiful and deserves the same treatment.
Absolutely. So we got a lot on our plate coming up here. A lot on our plate.
Yes, lots to do.
Just a sort of personal question. How much, I think people underestimate sometimes the amount of work and the number of hours that city councilors put in on their job. And I'm sure that not everyone does all the same number of hours, but this is really like a full-time job in many ways.
Oh, it's a full-time job, absolutely. So when you become a city councilor and you really do the work, that's the name that's familiar in people's head. And everybody will say, go to
fill in the blank.
Go to,
Yeah.
go to, and you don't want to let them down. You don't want to disappoint them. But I have learned to take my space, say I'll get back to you, or refer them. I like to teach them now on where they can get the information, like teach them to go to the city website, teach them about other resources. I mean, we got ChatGPT and Google and all these things now, but for like older people, I
Right.
will give them more time because I know it's harder for them to, with the digital divide, to maneuver in some of these spaces. But for the younger ones, I'm like, I'm gonna point you there. Come back to me when you have more of the information. And that's another problem that we have in the city of Springfield. The information is just not distributed equitably, and it should be. So we have to find all avenues, not just, I don't want to name any papers, but not just one paper over another one, not just, and how are we getting our Facebook page out and Instagram, and just be creative to get the information out to everybody. I don't think we're doing a good enough job of that.
Well, we've got a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to personally advocate to you for a project that I think the city really needs, and that is Jose Delgado has been pretty vocal about having a fiber network, internet service that would be competitive to what we've got. And most of us are getting our internet from Comcast. Both Whitfield and Chicopee are now making that switch into building out municipal-run internet services. Do you support what Jose is talking about, and do you think the city needs it?
Yeah, I supported him there. I supported the net zero that came in front of the city council, but absolutely. I've been looking at something called Starlink that can even go into like rural communities, and they use them in like Africa. And there's just like so many opportunities that we can have to make sure everybody have the access that they need and want, right? But we can't keep the monopoly going, and
Right.
it feels like a monopoly.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So I will support you, and I will advocate for it.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Trayce, thanks so much for coming
You're welcome.
in. And
Anytime.
we'd like to have the counselors on as much as we can, just to, as you said, give people information straight from government officials so they can listen to what's really happening.
Exactly. And I'll come back anytime and share more information.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. And folks, thanks very much for tuning in to another edition of Government Matters here on Focus Springfield.